Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because the Minnesota Vikings are standing on the edge of a precipice that will define this franchise for the next decade. We are talking about seismic shifts in the roster that go beyond simple adjustments. Sources are buzzing, phones are ringing off the hook, and the decisions made in the coming weeks will either catapult this team into contention or send us spiraling into a rebuild. From the quarterback room to the heart of our defense, everything is on the table. You need to hear this right now, because the future of purple and gold hangs in the balance.
Let's start with the hard news regarding J.J. McCarthy. Reports are circulating with increasing volume that analysts are pushing for a scenario where the Vikings trade the young quarterback to give him a fresh start elsewhere. This is not just idle chatter from the fringes of the internet. This is coming from legitimate football minds looking at the quarterback landscape in Minnesota. The logic being presented is that the timeline for McCarthy's development might not align with the immediate pressure to win now, or perhaps there are internal evaluations suggesting a divergence in philosophy. When you look at the investment made in drafting a quarterback in the first round, the expectation is stability, growth, and eventually franchise leadership. However, the buzz suggests that a clean break could be mutually beneficial, allowing the Vikings to recoup assets and pivot, while McCarthy gets a blank slate in a system that might be more patient with his learning curve. Now let me switch gears, because this absolutely blows my mind. We are talking about a kid who has barely had a cup of coffee in the NFL, and already people are writing his exit ticket? Are you kidding me? This is the National Football League, not a fantasy football league where you drop a guy after one bad week. You drafted him for a reason. You saw the talent, the arm, the leadership at Michigan. To even entertain the idea of shipping him out before we have seen him truly command this offense is ludicrous. It screams of impatience and a lack of conviction. If you trade him now, you are admitting a massive failure in evaluation. You are telling the fan base that you wasted a premium pick and you have no plan B. A fresh start? How about we give him a start, period? How about we actually develop the talent we spent months scouting? The audacity to suggest he needs a new home before he has even decorated his locker in Minnesota is disrespectful to the process and insulting to the fans who bought his jersey. We need stability, not a revolving door at the most important position in sports. If the Vikings pull the trigger on a move like this, it signals panic. It signals that the front office has lost its nerve. You do not build a championship culture by bailing on your investments at the first sign of uncertainty. You stick by your guys, you coach them up, and you put them in a position to succeed. This rumor alone is enough to make my blood boil, because it represents everything wrong with the modern instant gratification mindset in sports. We need to be smarter than this. We need to be better than this. The Vikings organization prides itself on thoughtful decision-making, but this chatter suggests chaos behind the scenes that we simply cannot afford right now. It is time to stop the noise and start coaching.
If you are feeling the heat from this analysis and want to stay ahead of every breaking story regarding our Vikings, do not wait. Hit that subscribe button right now to get exclusive insider updates delivered directly to you. While the quarterback situation is creating a firestorm of controversy, there is a somber reality settling over the defensive side of the ball involving a true Vikings legend. We are hearing strong indications regarding the imminent retirement decision of veteran safety Harrison Smith. The front office is not sitting on its hands. They are actively identifying potential substitutes, both on the current roster and in the free agent market, to fill the massive leadership void in the secondary. Harrison Smith has been the heartbeat of this defense for over a decade. He is the hitman. He is the guy who disguises coverages better than anyone in the league. The guy who strikes fear into opposing quarterbacks and receivers alike. Replacing him is not just about finding a guy who can tackle or cover deep. It is about finding a new spiritual leader for the defense. Sources tell me the team is looking at veteran options who can step in immediately, as well as evaluating younger talent that can be molded into that role. But let me be clear, you do not simply replace a Hall of Fame caliber player. This is a monumental loss if he decides to hang up the cleats. Harrison Smith represents an era of Vikings football defined by toughness and intelligence. When I think about what he brings to the field, I think about instinct. I think about a guy who knows the play before the ball is even snapped. To lose that institutional knowledge is a devastating blow. The fact that the team is already scrambling to find his successor tells me they know the end is near. It is a wake-up call for every fan. We have been spoiled watching number 22 patrol the secondary. Now we have to face the cold, hard truth that the torch is being passed. The pressure this puts on the defensive coordinator and the general manager is immense. If they miss on his replacement, the entire defensive scheme could crumble. You need a safety who can communicate, who can align the corners and linebackers, who can be the quarterback of the defense. If they think they can just plug in a rookie and expect the same results, they are delusional. This requires a strategic, high-level acquisition. We are talking about the spine of the defense. Without Harrison Smith, the Vikings lose their identity on that side of the ball. It is a terrifying prospect, but it is the reality of the business. Father Time is undefeated, even against the hitman. The question now is not just who steps in, but who steps up. Who takes the voice in the huddle? Who holds the rest of the unit accountable? The search for these answers is underway, and frankly, I am nervous. We need a seamless transition, but history tells us that replacing a legend is usually a messy, painful process that leaves scars.
Now, let's bring this full circle and look at how these pieces fit together in a way that could shake the foundation of the NFC North. Reports are surfacing that the Vikings are a leading candidate to sign a veteran quarterback who is expected to be cut from his current team. We are talking about a player with a previous market value of $75 million, potentially available at a significantly reduced rate. This is the domino effect in action. If the team is considering moving on from McCarthy, as we discussed earlier, this move makes perfect sense. It signals a shift to a win-now mentality, leveraging a veteran presence to stabilize the offense while the rest of the roster competes. This is a strategic pivot of the highest order. You bring in a guy who has seen it all, who has commanded big money, and you get him on a prove-it deal. From a salary cap perspective, it is brilliant. From a football perspective, it is a gamble. But here's where I get fired up. Why are we looking at cast-offs? Why are we looking at guys other teams do not want? There is a reason this quarterback is being cut. There is a reason his value has dropped. Are we becoming the rehabilitation center for distressed assets? Or is this a masterstroke by the front office to get elite talent for pennies on the dollar? You have to ask yourself what the goal is here. If you sign this veteran, you are telling the locker room that you believe this team can win today. You are telling Justin Jefferson that you are serious about getting him the ball. But if this veteran comes in and struggles, you have created a circus. You have alienated your young talent, you have confused the fan base, and you have wasted precious cap space. This is a high-risk, high-reward maneuver. The connection between the McCarthy rumors and this potential signing is undeniable. It paints a picture of a front office that is not sold on its future and is desperate to salvage the present. That desperation can be dangerous. It can lead to rash decisions. However, if this veteran can recapture his $75 million form, the Vikings become an instant threat. It changes the entire complexion of the offense. We need certainty. We need a leader. Is this veteran the answer? Or is he just a band-aid on a bullet wound? The stakes have never been higher. Every decision made from this point forward ripples through the organization. We are watching a high-wire act with no safety net. The Vikings are pushing their chips into the middle of the table, hoping to strike gold with a veteran arm, while potentially discarding their young prospect. It's bold, it's aggressive, and quite frankly, it's terrifying. This is the type of move that defines careers.
This is a defining moment for the Minnesota Vikings. We are looking at a potential complete overhaul of the team's philosophy, from the quarterback position to the defensive leadership. The decisions made regarding McCarthy, Harrison Smith, and this veteran quarterback will echo for years. Do you trust the front office to navigate these turbulent waters, or do you feel like we are drifting without a compass? I want to hear from you. Who should be under center week 1? And how do we possibly replace the hitman? Drop your comments below because your voice matters in this conversation. We are in this together, through the highs and the lows. Stay tuned, keep your eyes on the news, and as always, Skol Vikings. We will see how this plays out.